Hi my friends, in this lesson we are going to study past continuous tense. But before we study past continuous tense, we have to remember past perfect tense. Okay, what is past perfect tense? Let me remind you the past perfect tense. As you know that in past perfect tense, let me draw a line here. Past perfect tense, as we know that it is past tense, okay? It's about past. There is no relation between present or future. It's past. And now let's say here is our time now. I am talking here. I am studying. I am teaching here. Okay. I am walking. This is now we present continuous tense. But what is past tense? Simple past tense. Simple past tense. The action that starts and finished in the past. Okay. For example, we use the second form of the verbs in simple past tense. We say, I opened the door. We saw an old man in the garden. He ran in the park. My mother cooked. Okay? In simple past tense, okay, the action starts in the past and it finishes in the past. But in the past perfect tense, we say that an action, okay, if there are two actions in the past and one action occurs before another past action, please be careful. If the action occurs before another past action, we use past perfect tense here. There must be two actions in the past. Of course, one of them, okay, will be nearer to present time and the other one will be far to present one. So, if the action in the past is near to present time, we use simple past. In simple past, we use the second form of the verbs. And here, if the action happened, occurred, before another past action, we use past perfect tense. And the structure of past perfect tense is had plus verb 3. Okay? Let me give you some examples about it. And in past perfect tense, please be careful to my sentence, to this rule. We cannot use past perfect tense alone. We cannot use past perfect tense in a sentence. For example, I had slept late. Or she had driven a car. The usage of past perfect is we used helping verb had and the third form of the main verb. And after had, if you use not, hadn't, eaten, it is the negative form. If you use had you, if you use the had at the beginning of the sentence before the subject, it is the question form. Had you come home? Okay, so it is the question form. But be careful here, please. In English, we cannot use past perfect alone as a sentence. So how will we use past perfect tense? The best friend of past perfect is simple past. They are very close friends. You cannot separate them from each other. You understand me? So, if you use past perfect tense, the second part of the sentence has to be simple past. So, past perfect tense can be used only with simple past, not with past continuous, not with present tenses, not with future tenses. Okay, let me write 2 or 3 sentences with past perfect and later we will go on with past perfect continuous. Okay, when I came home, my father had slept. What does this sentence mean? it says that when I came home, for example, okay, let's imagine, what time did you come home last night? You come home at 11 o'clock last night, okay? When you came home at 11, your father had slept. My father had slept. What time did he sleep? Let's say he slept at 10:30. So this action is nearer to present time. We use simple past. This action is far from the present time. Okay, we use past perfect tense. Okay, at first your father slept. Later you came home. So your father didn't see you. Your father didn't see you when you come home. Another example. Okay. After I had done my homework, I slept. Hey, of course, when you think about, okay, the order of the actions, of course, at first you must do your homework, then you must sleep. So you cannot sleep at first, later, okay, do your homework in your dreams, okay? So after I had done my homework. For example, what time did you do your homework? Let's say you have done your homework at 9:30 and you slept at, for example, 10:30. So this is 9:30, you do your homework, and here you slept at what time? At 10:30, at 10:30. So the first action, if we talk about the first action, we use past perfect in the past. If we talk about the second action, we use simple past. And another example with before, let me finish this past perfect with before example. Before Susan came here, she had visited her grandfather. Okay. Before Susan came here, she had visited her grandfather. It means that Susan come here. What time did Susan come here? Let's say she came here in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and before she came here, she visited her grandfather, okay, at 2 o'clock. Let's say, okay, this is Susan visited her grandfather. After she visited her grandfather, she came here at 3 o'clock. So if the time is nearer to present time, we use simple past, and if the time is far from the present time, we use past perfect tense. If an action happens before another past action, we use past perfect tense with it. Okay? Now I finished past perfect. Let me tell you what is past perfect continuous tense. Wow. Let me tell you. Hey, look at the board, please. Now, as I said to you before, there are two actions in the past. And one of them happens before another past action. We use past perfect, and in the other one, we use simple past, right? Good. But if the period of the past action that happened before the past one, if the period of past perfect is so important, if we want to say the period, we use past perfect continuous tense. Let me write past perfect continuous tense. So what's the period? The period means, for example, how long did you do that action? And what is the structure in past perfect continuous? Let me tell you. You write your subject, right? You write your subject, and for all the subjects, we use the helping verb. For singulars, for the third singulars, for I, for you, for they are all same. We use had, okay? And in past perfect tense, we will use the third form of the verb here, but we will use continuous. What is the formula of continuous? It is be plus ing. So I have to use be here, but the third form of be, okay, had been and verb ing. I had been driving. You had been swimming. They had been traveling. So our formula, our structure is had been plus verb ing. I had been running, they had been playing, we had been singing, she had been traveling, they had been riding. Okay? So if you want to do it negative, hadn't been driving. If you want to use as a question form, we take had at the beginning of the sentence before subject. Had you been driving? Had she been swimming? Okay? The structure is like that. Now let me write sentences and let's explain it. Let's show the structure of past perfect continuous and say the meaning. My father, the first example, my father had been working for 30 years when he retired. It is a very good perfect continuous example. Let's, study on it. My father had been working for 30 years. So, my father, had been working for 30 years. My father retired here. Let's say, when did he retire? Let's say in 2020. Let's say my father retired in 2020. An action happened in the past. And what was past perfect? Past perfect was another action that occurred before that past action. It is past perfect. But if the period is important, let's say my father started working here. What time? 30 years, I say, 1990. Yeah? My father started 1990 and the period is going on until the second past action. So this is continuing. In perfect continuous tenses, the important thing is period. In present perfect continuous, it is, for example, period. I have been studying for 20 years. So, still studying. I will have been studying. In future perfect continuous, it is the same. The period is important. In past perfect continuous, the period is important. For example, if you don't want to use past perfect continuous, you will use had plus verb 3, but the period is not important in past perfect. But if you want to say that the period is crucial, it is necessary, it is important for me, so we use past perfect continuous, had been, verb ing. Let me give you another example. When we reached, let's say, when we reached New York, my brother had been driving for 10 hours. So, you see, there must be a past action that finished in the past. What's that? Okay, when we reached New York. What time did you reach New York? Let's say you reached New York at, for example, 12 o'clock at noon. Okay? Okay, my brother had been driving for 10 hours. Okay, so he started driving for 10 hours, 12, 10, okay, at 2 o'clock at night. At 2 a.m. he started, 2 a.m., okay, he started driving, and he had been driving for 10 hours. Another example, let me give you another example. I want to clean this one, and okay. Hey, I had been sleeping for an hour. Let's say I studied too much and I was very tired and I went to bed, and I said that one. I had been sleeping for an hour and the period is important. So this period is an hour, okay? I had been studying and for an hour when someone knocked my door, and I went to my room, I slept, and someone knocked my door. Here, someone knocked my door. When someone knocked my door, I had been sleeping. Had the period is important. The action that happened before the past action, I had been sleeping for an hour when somebody knocked my door. So as you see that past perfect tense, in past perfect tense, the period is not so important. In past perfect tense, we use for the action that started before the past action, but in past perfect continuous tense, of course, yeah, it's the same. The action started before a past action, but the period is important. If we say the period for 2 hours, for a day, for 2 months, for years, for 10 years, for centuries, for millenniums, okay, we use past perfect continuous. Okay, thank you very much.